very good morning all. So we are come to the last session of this webinar on badminton separation program. It has been a long, in fact, interesting webinar we are having on last 5 days. And I think almost you involved very much into it. So today we have with us the last speaker, Dr. Athoni Retso, Junior Scientific Officer, Anthropometry. She is currently working with Sports Authority of India. I welcome Dr. Athoni and I request her to please preside over the session. Over to you, Dr. Athoni Retso.
Thank you, Neha. Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then I'll just start with the screen sharing then. Okay, just let me know whether it's visible or not, okay? Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it is
Okay.
visible.
So should we go ahead with the presentation, or should we waiting for some more participants?
We can wait for some more participants.
Okay.
Only 25%. Ma'am, hello.
Yeah.
We can wait for another 5 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah. That would be
Let's other participants also let them join. 25. Uh, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you can start over slides, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh.
So how many participants do we have here?
29
Oh,
participants.
29 participants. Okay. So good morning, everyone. So I'm expecting more of an interactive session today. So I expect, like, I'll get a response from your side also, because like it should be like, a learning process for in both ways, actually, not only for me also, but for you also, right? So I'm going to interact more. It's let me put it this way, it's going to be less of a class and more of a discussion. Okay, so I'll start with a presentation. So if you look at most of the research article, okay, related to sports, you'll find some parameters, anthropometric parameters, which are very like commonly used, right? Can you name some of the parameters like which are commonly used when you go to research article related to badminton? जब हम research article, sports research article related, ठीक है, कोई भी खेल को लेके, not only badminton, but दूसरे खेल को लेके हम जब देखते हैं, तो कौन से ऐसे anthropometric parameters है जो आपको most of the research articles में नजर आता है? क्या आप बता सकते हैं ये चीज? Can I have some response from you all? Is my voice audible or is it mute actually?
It is audible, ma'am.
Okay, so can I have a response from your side? Like, what is the most common anthropometric parameter found in sports research articles?
I request all the coaches, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, of course, madam. We find a lean body with a less percentage of fat, where the limbs are lengthier than the trunk.
Okay. Any more response? Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Andika, you want to give a try? Neha, you want to give a try?
Ma'am, body composition.
Okay. Any more? See, it has to be a discussion actually. So,
Madam, is it with the anthropometric way or the physiological changes also?
especially with regard to anthropometric parameters.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Any more response? Is Vidhi here? Vidhi Chaudhary? Okay, most of them, they're in mute actually. Is my voice audible or?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so see, when you look at the research article, the most common parameters you'll find is one is the height. Okay, the second is the weight. And the third possibly is a BMI. You'll find this in most of the research article. Okay, now BMI actually, because I've this thing gone through lots of research articles, and this is one of the most common parameters that are found actually in sports-related research article. Now, what BMI does? Okay, BMI takes into consideration only your height and weight and categorize you into the person into underweight, normal range, normal weight category, overweight category, and obese category. Okay, now the question comes, is BMI a good indicator for health and fitness? The answer is yes also, and it's no also. So can I get a response from your side? जैसे कि जब हम BMI लेते हैं, ठीक है, तो BMI में क्या होता है, आपकी एक तो लंबाई होती है और एक आपकी वजन को कंसिडर करते हैं, है कि नहीं? तो इसमें क्या होता है, इंसान को हम कैटेगरी में डाल देते हैं, जैसे कि अंडरवेट हो गया, नॉर्मल वेट हो गया, ओवरवेट हो गया और ओबीस कैटेगरी पे, ठीक है? तो लेकिन क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि BMI जो है अच्छा इंडिकेटर है सेहत और फिटनेस के लिए, ठीक है, तो ये क्वेश्चन आता है, लेकिन इसमें इसका प्रश्न हाँ भी है और ना में भी है। तो आप लोग क्या बता सकते हो कि हाँ या ना में कौन सा आएगा? एनी आइडिया लाइक? या
हाँ में आएगा percentage of fat is little reduced when we'll talk about the muscle, lean muscle mass.
okay, any response?
And then the second is metabolism.
Okay. Are there only 3 participants or we have more participants in here? Because I want it to be an interactive session. So can we get more response? क्या BMI एक अच्छा इंडिकेटर है हेल्थ और फिटनेस के लिए? Is BMI a good indicator for health and fitness? The answer is yes and it's no also.
Madam, a generalized statement will not work. There are exceptions. That's why, as you put it, yes and no will work.
That's why there is a reason behind why I put yes and no.
It's not a personal subjectivities, more or less.
Pardon, sir, and yeah.
It is subjective to it depends on the person also.
See, now you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, see, yes, it is for sedentary population. Okay, those people who have got less physical activity, and no when it comes to elite level athlete. This is the answer. Okay, now why actually? See, when we are talking about BMI, as I mentioned earlier, it takes into consideration just your height and your weight, right? And then it categorizes you into normal, underweight category also, overweight category, and obese category also. Okay, now when it comes to elite level athletes, okay, we are talking in terms of performance here. Okay, performance in terms of speed, strength, agility, and all, right? So we have to go more in depth at the tissue level. Okay, when we go more in depth at the tissue level, we are talking in terms of the composition here. ठीक है, तो मैं अभी जैसे बता रही थी, जैसे कि जब हम BMI को कंसिडर करते हैं, ठीक है, तो BMI जो है हम अप्लाई कर सकते हैं सेडेंटरी पॉपुलेशन के लिए, ठीक है, लेकिन एक एलीट लेवल एथलीट के लिए आप अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि एलीट लेवल का रिक्वायरमेंट ही अलग होता है, ठीक है, कुछ एक एक्स्ट्रा चाहिए होता है जैसे कि परफॉर्मेंस को लेके, ठीक है, तो वो उस पर हम कंसिडर करते हैं स्ट्रेंथ, स्पीड, एजिलिटी, ये सब आते हैं, तो हम लोग को टिश्यू लेवल पे फिर और जाना होता है, तो उसमें आता है शरीर संरचना का रोल, ठीक है, तो what is actually body composition here? I'll specifically talk about 2 parameters here, the fat mass and the fat free mass. Okay, now when I'm talking about fat mass, there are 2 types, there are essential fat and non-essential fat. Okay, now essential fat is actually required for your normal body functioning. Okay, it is present in small amount in your bone marrow, the central nervous systems, okay, and in the muscles. Now, non-essential fat are the ones which are present in the abdominal area, which is also known as the visceral fat. Okay, it actually protects the major organs, your kidney, your heart, lung, and all. Okay, and then there's the storage fat. The subcutaneous fat, okay, which is actually located underneath your skin and distributed all over your body. For example, you'll find the deposition mostly in the upper arm area, the forearm area, the abdominal area, the thigh area. Okay, now when I talk about the fat-free mass here, okay, now fat-free mass takes into account your muscle mass, your bone mass, and also the weight of the organ, the connective tissue, and the water. जब हम शरीर संरचना के बारे में बात करते हैं तो इसमें 2 पैरामीटर्स आते हैं, ठीक है, एक तो आपका होता है फैट मास का और दूसरा है जो है फैट फ्री मास. फैट मास में क्या होता है, एक तो आपका एसेंशियल फैट आता है, दूसरा नॉन एसेंशियल फैट. तो एसेंशियल फैट जो होते हैं आपकी शरीर को चलाने में उसका काम आता है, ठीक है, और ये एक जैसे कि स्मॉल अमाउंट में, जैसे कि आपकी सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम्स, बोन मैरो, ठीक है, और मसल्स वगैरह में स्टोर होता है. और दूसरा जो होता है जो स्टोरेज फैट बोलते हैं, ठीक है, जैसे कि नॉन एसेंशियल फैट जो हम बोलते हैं, तो वो 2 तरीके के होते हैं. एक तो जो होता है जो आपकी विसरल फैट बोलते हैं, ठीक है, तो वो यूजली आपकी जो मेजर ऑर्गन्स को प्रोटेक्ट करता है, ठीक है, इट्स लोकेटेड इन द more or less in the abdominal area like the heart, the lung, ये सब प्रोटेक्ट करता है, किडनी एंड ऑल। ओके, दूसरा जो होता है वो है जो फैट जो आपकी शरीर के हिस्से में डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड होता है, ओके, और वो आपकी चमड़े के नीचे में होता है, जिसको हम सबक्यूटेनस फैट जो बोलते हैं, ठीक है। दूसरा जो है नाउ द सेकंड, दूसरा जो कैटेगरी है वो फैट फ्री मास बोलते हैं। फैट फ्री मास में आएगा आपका मसल मास आएगा, आपका बोन मास आएगा, ठीक है, द वेट ऑफ द ऑर्गन्स, कनेक्टिव टिश्यू एंड वाटर, ये सब इस पे आ जाएगा। नाउ उसके असेसमेंट करने के लिए कौन सा इक्विपमेंट यूज होते हैं? व्हाट आर द इक्विपमेंट्स कॉमनली यूज्ड फॉर दिस असेसमेंट? ओके, दिस इज अ ट्रेडिशनल वन दैट वी हैव द circumference, the sliding caliper, the skin fold caliper, which is commonly used for body composition assessment. Okay, now the modern one we have got the bot also, we have got the BIA also. Okay, तो ये सब इक्विपमेंट इस्तेमाल होता है असेसमेंट में। Now coming to the methods, ठीक है, तो आप in methods actually you can use it in two different ways. Okay, now we have got a whole body composition. Okay, now in whole body composition, okay, say for example in a person, if you want to find out the overall body fat percentage or the muscle mass, you can go for this one. Okay, now this report actually will help in your diet plan, okay, for consulting a nutritionist. Now coming to the other one, the segmental. Okay, now if you have got certain specific part where you need an athlete to improve, okay, if you want to find out how much of muscle mass or fat mass is there, okay, in the upper arm area or in the left arm area, okay, how much of muscle mass or fat mass is there, then you can go for a segmental analysis, okay, and you can take the help of a strength and conditioning expert. So segmental mass you can see here. Okay, the segmental mass is where you divide the body into two equal halves in the mid-sagittal plane. Okay, now here you can see the left arm and the right arm here. Okay, so it will take into consideration how much of fat and muscle mass is there in the right arm and also is in the left. It will give a separate report. ओके, तो जैसे कि मैं अभी बता रही थी, जब हम मैथ्स में होते हैं तो उसका दो तरीके आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो, ठीक है। एक तो जो ओवरऑल बॉडी कॉम्पोजिशन होता है जिसपे आप निकाल सकते हो कि बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज कितना है, चर्बी का परसेंटेज, ठीक है, और फिर मसल मास कितना है। तो ये आप एक्चुअली जब किसी एथलीट के डाइट प्लान पे, ठीक है, अगर कुछ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करना हो तो वो ये रिपोर्ट आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो। दूसरा जो है सेगमेंटल, ठीक है, जैसे कि अगर आपको पता लगाना कि एक एथलीट के जैसे कि शरीर के हिस्से में, ठीक है, सर्टेन हिस्से, स्पेसिफिक हिस्से में, जैसे कि आपको पता लगाना है कि अपर आर्म के हिस्से में मसल मास कितना है, फैट मास कितना है, ठीक है, फोर आर्म के एरिया में कितना है, तो आप सेगमेंटल एनालिसिस जा सकते हो एंड यू कैन टेक द हेल्प ऑफ अ स्ट्रेंथ एंड कंडीशनिंग एक्सपर्ट टू मॉनिटर दैट वन. Okay, so these are the two methods through which you can assess. Now, coming to the report, how will you interpret the report? Okay, now you can see the report here. Okay, the body fat percentage here is a female, she's 17 years old. Okay, so the body fat percentage is 16.4, which is quite good. Okay, it's within the range. Now, coming to the muscle mass, you can see that the muscle mass is 22.8, right? Now, if you want an athlete to improve the muscle mass, okay, and want to specifically find out where is the area which needs to be improved, you can go for the segmental analysis like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so these are the area where she has to improve. So in this case, you need the help of a nutritionist also and strength and conditioning expert. Now, looking at this, coming to a second report. Okay, now if you look at the second report here, the body fat percentage is more. Okay, but the muscle mass, just look at the muscle mass. The muscle mass is quite good. Okay, but if you look at the segmental analysis, especially in the femoral area, that is the thigh area, you will find a difference, actually a huge difference. Okay, so if an athlete has any kind of imbalance also, you can find out with this kind of assessment, through this assessment. Okay, so it will give you a clear picture. Another thing is which we at ISAC, actually this is an equation which I got from ISAC. Okay, and I've mentioned the source here also. Now, which they commonly use for an athlete is a target body weight and desired body fat percentage. Okay, for example, if you want the athlete, say if the athlete's body fat percentage is more, say 22, okay, and you want to bring it down slowly to a particular range, okay, you can give certain target body weight for them. Okay, so in this case, you need the fat-free mass, okay, and the desired body fat percentage. Say in this equation, you need a value for the desired body fat percentage. Then you'll be able to calculate, okay, through that you'll be able to calculate how much the target body weight should be for the athlete. ठीक है, तो ये इक्वेशन हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं जैसे कि अगर आपको एक एथलीट को उसका एक टारगेट बॉडी वेट देना होता है, ठीक है, कंसिडरिंग कि बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज कितना होना चाहिए उसका। अगर आपके पास एक एथलीट आ गया कि उसका बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज ज़्यादा है, आपको कम करवाना है, ठीक है, तो आप ये इक्वेशन इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो। This is actually a very well known, I guess. Most of the coaches know this one. See, if you have got more amount of body fat percentage, okay, increase energy demand, okay, the body also has to produce more force by muscle contraction. If the body fat is within the range, okay, then and within the range and the muscle mass is very good, not only will your speed, agility and all this thing will improve, okay, but it will also delay the fatigue. Okay, if an athlete again has got very low amount of body fat percentage, the side effect being the energy level obviously will be low. Okay, also the muscle recovery will also be poor. Okay, so these are some of the common insights that we have. And if you look at the badminton player, okay, the body fat percentage for a male is 6 to 10%. And for a female is 12 to 18%, but in doubles, actually I've seen a female athlete going up to 20% also. Okay, तो आप इस पे देख सकते हैं कि अगर शरीर संरचना को लेके स्पेशली आप कंसिडर किए तो ठीक है, जैसे कि बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज आपका अच्छे रेंज में होता है तो आपका जैसे कि एक एथलीट को काफ़ी मदद करता है, जैसे कि उसका एनर्जी डिमांड ज़्यादा हो, उसका एनर्जी डिमांड जो है, ठीक है, अगर बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज काफ़ी ज़्यादा हो गया तो उसका एनर्जी डिमांड भी ज़्यादा हो गया, ठीक है, उसका मसल्स को ज़्यादा काम करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है। और दूसरी चीज़ है, अगर बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज काफ़ी कम हो गया तो उसका एनर्जी लेवल तो डाउन होगा ही होगा, लेकिन उसका जो होगा मसल रिकवरी भी पुअर होगा, ठीक है। और अगर आपके बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज ऑप्टिमम रेंज पे रह गया, आपका मसल मास अच्छा होता है, तो नॉट ओनली जैसे कि आपकी स्पीड, एजिलिटी, ठीक है, आपकी फैटीग भी डिले होगा, तो ये सब चीज़ें एक पॉजिटिव भी होता है अगर आप एक ऑप्टिमम पे मेंटेन करते हो उसको। तो बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज जो रेंज है, अगर बैडमिंटन प्लेयर में हम देखा जाए तो एलीट लेवल पे 6 से 10% होता है मेल्स के लिए, ठीक है, 12 से लेके 18 होता है फीमेल्स के लिए, लेकिन डबल्स में स्पेशली लड़कियों में 20 से भी ऊपर जाता है, 20 का एक लिमिट होता है, लेकिन ज़्यादा होता है कि 20 से भी ऊपर मैंने देखा है कि एथलीट्स को। These are some of the articles actually which I came across, okay, so not only covering the body composition here. So if you look at most of the elite level athletes, they're comparatively taller, especially the males. Okay, and you can see that the range of body fat percentage in elite level athletes also here. Okay, now as I mentioned, if you have got more amount of body fat percentage, okay, it has got a negative impact again on the ability to balance also. राइट, तो ये किन्हीं आर्टिकल है जो मैंने, इट्स नॉट ओनली कवरिंग बॉडी कॉम्पोजिशन बट दूसरे पैरामीटर भी होते हैं इसमें, जैसे कि एलीट लेवल एथलीट जो होता है काफ़ी टॉल भी होता है, ठीक है, इसके बॉडी परसेंटेज की रेंज भी दिया गया है, और अगर शरीर में चर्बी आपका ज़्यादा होता है तो आपका बैलेंस एबिलिटी पे भी वो इफेक्ट करता है। तो ये किन्हीं आर्टिकल विच इज आई हैव साइटेड हियर, ठीक है, एंड मोर। And one more thing actually with regard to proportions, actually one of the coach mentioned here कि उसका limb length ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. Yeah, that will be an advantage, okay, when you're taking the shots and all. But the thing we have to consider is जब अगर आपका lower extremity, ठीक है, if the leg length is more, okay, उसमें माना कि अगर आपका स्पेशली फीमर का लेंथ ज़्यादा हो गया तो वो एक डिसएडवांटेज भी हो सकता है, ठीक है, बिकॉज व्हेन यू आर डूइंग लंजेस एंड ऑल, ठीक है, आपका जो फीमर लेंथ अगर ज्यादा होगा तो योर नी विल बी स्लिप मोर, ठीक है, तो उसमें क्या होगा, मोर स्ट्रेस इन द नी आल्सो विल बी देयर. Okay, so this also you have to consider. Okay, now one very interesting finding actually study besides the body composition कि हमने बॉडी कॉम्पोजिशन एलीट लेवल एथलीट पे तो काफी बोल दिया, बट लेट्स लुक एट द अपकमिंग बच्चों का, ठीक है. नाउ सी अगर आप एक बच्चे का, if you want to monitor the progress, okay, especially the height with which many people, I think even parents, not only the coaches but most of the parents are curious about, okay, so there is a chart which you can refer to. It's known as the AIP growth chart. It's based on the Indian standard growth chart only, okay, you can make a comparison on that one. This growth chart is not only based on gender but also age group पे दिया गया है, ठीक है, तो आप ये इस पे refer कर सकते हैं. I'm giving you two examples here, one female and the other of the मेल. तो आप इस पे देख सकते हो, द फीमेल शी इज 8.5 years, ओके, तो उसका हाइट है 134.3, ठीक है, तो वो 75th परसेंटाइल में है, ओके, शी इज इन द टॉप 25%, ओके, दैट मीन्स उसका हाइट जो है वो काफी अच्छा है उसकी एज के लिए, ठीक है. अगर उसका वेट देखा जाए तो वो है ऑलमोस्ट क्लोज टू 58th परसेंटाइल, विच इज क्वाइट गुड. हाइट और वेट में रिवर्स होगा इस पे परसेंटाइल में. अगर वेट में, okay, in case of weight, if the percentile, if she is coming in 75 above percentile, okay, that means she'll be overweight. In case of height, actually is the reverse. Agar 70, if she's coming in the 75th percentile or 90th percentile, that means she's very good for her age in terms of height. Now look at this male, okay, now here you can see that the male is in the 97th percentile, okay, so he's more or less in the top 3%, 4% मान के चलो, तो काफी उसका growth in terms of height is very good, okay. Now coming to the weight, he is in the range which is a bit below the 75th percentile, which is also quite in the healthy range because it's less than 75th percentile. So you can actually monitor the kid's growth, okay, in terms of height and weight, using this chart also. It is known as the AIP growth chart, okay. This actually was brought about by Khadildar, if I'm not mistaken, so you can just refer to that one, okay. Now coming to this one, adolescence growth spurt, can we have an interactive session now? Can I get some response from the coaches? Kandekar, Neha, can you?
Yeah, of course, madam. It can be interactive session.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I want to know about this
And
one.
few things I would like to share also.
Yes, sir.
In the previous screenshot, I have seen that regarding the fat, every organ has a layer of fat protecting the organs. Second thing, initially you told that we are dealing with the person, those who are elite athlete, but whereas the last discussion was made on the growth chart of 8.5 years to 9 years old.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
one thing I would like to tell you, see,
Yeah.
when you talk about non-essential fat, there are two kinds. There are visceral fat and storage fat. Okay,
Yeah,
the visceral is the one which protects the organs.
Yeah, that is.
Okay, now this one, in terms of,
Is it with the sheet covering the organs or some other?
it protects the vital organs. It
Okay.
acts, it protects the organs. Okay,
madam.
so you have to visualize here because I don't have a picture actually to show
That
that.
doesn't matter. madam. I
And
understand.
secondly, this one actually was shown, okay, because
Yeah.
we discussed already about the body composition parameter in terms of elite level athletes. I think if you're paying attention, you would have known this one because I've already discussed in terms of report here how you can use for elite level athletes.
Right, madam.
Right, this is for elite level athletes. Now, because the question also will be there, how will you monitor a child who is growing, right?
Yeah.
So for that, initially when you're starting out as a coaches, okay, you can actually initially when you're training, like, you know, young
Yeah.
kids, you can go for this one.
Agree.
Okay, so that's why I'm giving you two different perspectives here, one at the elite level and those for the upcoming, how
Yeah.
you can monitor the growth.
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming to the composition here. So, but before that, I wanted to have an interactive session. So that's why I just interrupted in between. Now, because here I'm going to discuss more in detail on that one. Okay, now, does anyone have idea about the adolescence growth spurt?
Yeah, of course, madam. It is between the 12.6 month to 14 and a half years of age when we get the maximum growth. The last spurt, the growth is growth curve goes very speedy.
Okay, any more response? It's partially right, sir. I wouldn't say it's totally wrong, but it's partially right. But I'll just come into that one
Yeah,
because
of
I
course.
want. Yeah, thank you, sir. So, any more response?
Ma'am, it is a more intense period of growth.
Okay, Neha, thank you. Any more? Can I get more response? कुछ और response आ सकते हैं adolescence growth spurt को लेके?
Ma'am, during this period,
Okay.
the child physically grows, but mentally it doesn't grow that much.
It's a process actually. Okay, it's a very crucial, to be precise, it's a very crucial process, not only for an athlete, but for an individual, for a person also. Okay, now adolescence growth spurt is a stage where rapid acceleration in the rate of growth take place, okay, in males and females also. Now the onset for females is actually a bit earlier, okay. The average is between 11 to 13 for females and 13 to 15 for males here. Okay, now what take place in adolescence growth spurt? I'm not saying that before that the growth does not take place. It takes place, but this is the stage where there is rapid acceleration in the rate of growth. Okay, in terms of height and in terms of weight. Okay, तो जब हम adolescence growth spurt के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो adolescence growth spurt जो है, इस पे आपकी विधि की जो गति होता है, जैसे कि बहुत तेजी से पकड़ लेते हैं, ठीक है, लंबाई को लेके और वजन को लेके भी। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जैसे कि विधि उसके पहले जो ग्रोथ है उससे पहले नहीं हो रहा है लेकिन इस पे बहुत तेजी से पकड़ लेता है, ठीक है। तो इस पे एक स्टेज आता है आपको पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी करके और दूसरा है पीक वेट वेलोसिटी करके, ठीक है। तो सबसे पहले शुरुआत होता है आपका पीक वेट वेलोसिटी, ओके। तो पीक वेट वेलोसिटी, वन मोर थिंग, जैसे कि मैं हिंदी वालों के लिए बता देती हूँ, जो आपका एडोलेसेंस ग्रोथ स्पर्ट होता है लड़कियों का थोड़ा पहले शुरू होता है, लड़कों से 11 to 13 के बीच और लड़कों का 13 to 15 के बीच, ठीक है। तो स्पेशली क्या होता है एडोलेसेंस ग्रोथ स्पर्ट में, आपकी सबसे पहले तो जो है आपका पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी, ठीक है। इसमें आपकी जो लंबाई की जो गति है, rate of growth in terms of height is very fast here, okay. In girls, actually, I'm talking in terms of 9 centimeter per year increase, it will be there. In boys, it will be around 10 centimeter increase in height per year. Okay. And mind you, that adolescence growth spurt, actually, it will last for 2 to 3 years. Again, it will vary from one individual to the other. No individual will experience it at the same time. ठीक है, तो जैसे कि मैं अभी बता रहे थे, इसका सबसे पहले शुरुआत होता है आपका पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी, ठीक है। तो पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी में जो होता है लंबाई लड़कियों का 9 सेंटीमीटर पर ईयर, लड़कों का 10 सेंटीमीटर पर ईयर भी हो सकता है। और जब पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी सेटिंग होता है वो 2 से लेके 3 साल तक, ठीक है, हो सकता है। और फिर ये भी ध्यान पे आपको रखना है कि इट विल वेरी फ्रॉम वन इंडिविजुअल टू द अदर। दो जने का एक ही टाइम पे नहीं होगा और एक जैसा भी नहीं होगा, ठीक है। आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू एन एवरेज हियर, okay. So see, lots of research has been conducted on this one. So there is this thing, if you go to lots of research article, okay, there's a scene in terms of speed and agility, okay. It can be, it can be best improved before the onset of the peak height velocity, 12 months before that. Now there is a reason behind it. When the peak height velocity take place, okay, तो आपकी जो long bones होते हैं it elongates, okay. We are talking in terms of the growth plate here. It's very sensitive. It's more sensitive. It's actually, to be precise, it's more weaker than your ligaments and your tendons. Okay, it is actually located at the end of your long bones. Okay, and it's very sensitive. Okay, now when your bone elongates, just imagine your tendon also will be elongating. Okay, and also it will be drawing out your muscle. The muscle normal resting tension also will increase. Okay, and your muscle also, the main thing is like there will be a difficulty in the muscle to contract with the same amount of force before the growth spurt. Okay, so lots of studies have shown that especially speed or agility जो होता है 12 months before the onset of peak height velocity, ठीक है, बेस्ट इम्प्रूव होता है. ठीक है, तो क्योंकि पीक हाइट वेलोसिटी जब शुरू होता है तो आपका लॉन्ग बोन्स इलोकेट होता है, एज आई एक्सप्लेन राइट नाउ. ओके, एंड जस्ट इमेजिन योर लॉन्ग बोन्स, स्पेशली अगर इफ यू लुक एट द सेगमेंट वेयर यू दिसिंग द ग्रोथ पैटर्न अगेन, generally, okay, generally progresses like your leg part actually will elongate first. Okay, the growth of the leg part will take, followed by your spine. Okay, you'll see the change in the center of gravity. Also, there will be a bit of imbalances also. Okay, so all these changes actually take place. Okay, now in case of the female, actually studies also have shown that there's more variation in female. Okay, not the exact figure at what it should start, but there's more variation in female than in males. Okay, now again another thing is like coming again to the peak weight velocity here. Now, peak weight velocity is a stage where changes in terms of overall composition will take place. Okay, especially in males, you will see more deposition of muscle mass. It does not mean that the deposition of muscle mass won't be there in females. It will be there in females too, but it will be relatively lesser compared to the males. Okay, and female will have more deposition of fat also. Okay, so that's why you can see that the body fat percentage range is also different from males and females. Okay, now if I go by again by the research articles that I've come across, okay, now studies has also shown that strength training can be best improved in males after the onset of peak height velocity, that is 12 to 18 months after peak height velocity, and in females especially, okay, with the onset of the peak weight velocity here. Is it clear? Okay, now I'll show you this thing. The best example will be this one. Okay, now why am I talking about onset of peak height velocity, peak weight velocity here? Okay, now you can see in this actually slide, there are two females here. Okay, comparatively more or less of the same age group. One is 12.9, the other is 13.1 years old. Okay, now here one is an early mature. Okay, the onset of peak height velocity in one kid is earlier than the other. Okay, the other is a late mature. The onset of peak height velocity for her starts at 12.7. Currently she's 12.9. This one is already 13.1 years old. The age at peak height velocity for her was 10.9. Okay, so just assume the peak height velocity is already, it might have ceased for this girl also. Okay, that means it might have stopped for this girl also. And in her case, okay, the peak weight velocity might have set in. Okay, after the peak height velocity, a gap of 3 to 6 months, your peak weight velocity sets in. Okay, so for this kid, the peak weight velocity might have set in. You can also see the changes here. Okay, the body fat percentage is comparatively more. Okay, you can also see that the muscle is also good for her age. Okay, she has put on a bit of muscle also, and fat also in here. Okay, now coming to this, for a late mature, okay, she's currently 12.9. In her case, the peak height velocity is just set in. Okay, you can see the changes in terms of body fat percentage here. Okay, so for her, the peak weight velocity has not set in. And for the muscle mass, okay, now here we have to be very careful when we are commenting, actually, when we're dealing with kids of this age, because I have to consider the maturity status here. See, if I make a comparison of these two, and if I consider this two, If I go by the age-wise and give a comment, okay? If I go by the age-wise, I can give the comment that muscle mass is not good, right? But I have to consider the maturity status here, okay? For her, the peak height velocity has just set in. Okay, the peak, that means the peak weight velocity has not started at all also for her. Okay, so I have to consider that one also. I have to keep that in mind. Okay, and I have to give the comment. It does not mean that she will not pick up. She is a late mature. Okay, but she will pick up. Is it clear or do I have to repeat again? Can I have an interaction?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear, ma'am.
It is absolutely clear, madam.
Okay, तो ये सब चीजें, ये सब फैक्टर्स जो है, स्पेशली जब आप ट्रेनिंग करवा रहे हो बच्चे को, कंसिडर करना होता है, ठीक है? क्योंकि हम एक बच्चे और दूसरे बच्चे को कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते. They both are different. Okay, and since I have done studies more or less in the southern part of India, I have to say that most of the kids actually here, okay, the athletes here, they're late mature. So we have to consider all this thing when we are, designing training plan, okay, recovery program जो भी है, ठीक है, ये सब चीजों को consider करके बनाना है. Okay, so you have to consider this thing when you are training, especially the upcoming athletes here. Is it clear?
Yeah, of course, madam.
Okay.
One thing I would like to share, since this information is shared by a lot of scientists like you, and we being a coach, we consider it is a performance spurt. So we always take care of this age when the athlete comes to us, that their growth spurt should be encashed by giving performance spurts, converted into performance spurt.
Sir, adolescence growth पर बहुत ही sensitive stage होता है. And if you see, actually female actually is more sensitive because I think ACL injury का भी chances ज़्यादा होता है उन लोगों का.
But I have seen there is not a single player who has got injured because of that. We are careful about the food intake also.
Exactly. That's why it's very important.
The pattern of training also, since
The
it is a
intensity.
growth and development based training program during this period, so that is being taken care by a coach.
Exactly. So this is a stage where you have to take care not only of your nutrient requirement also, but training intensity also. ये सब देखना होता है.
Yeah, of course, madam.
और उसके हिसाब से you can design a training plan, जैसे कि मैं अभी बता रहे थे. It's very easy once you get an idea about the onset of peak height velocity. ठीक है? This kind of estimation we can start off as early as 8-year-old. You can start our estimation as early as 8-year-old for a child. 8 साल के जो बच्चे ऊपर होता है उसका estimation शुरू होता है, तो आप अपना उसके हिसाब से आप plan करवा सकते हो. ठीक है? तो इसके लिए I've just shown you the slide because I've already done this kind of assessment for a few athletes here. So I'm just sharing with you the slide. So that's all for the presentation. So if you have any questions, you can.
Before asking a question,
I also have lots of questions, so I'm going to interact.
I am grateful and thankful to you sharing some of wonderful information that must have done by you during this research, what you have done. We being a coach are very closely associated the people like you, and using this kind of information when we'll plan our training plan.
Thank you so much, sir.
And the second important thing is you welcome sharing the information and interaction. That is too good.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, I have a question because you're a senior coach here. So can I ask you something?
Yes. My voice won't go only.
Okay, can I ask some of the senior coaches here?
Because, yeah, of course, you are welcome, madam.
Okay, so I have a query actually because see, there's no reference of such based on observation only. I've seen in badminton players, especially the forearm length actually is more of an advantage, right? Is it an advantage or is it not? The forearm.
Advantage, yes. You are talking about the limbs length of the limb. Advantage, yes, madam. If If you see most of the players, those are excellent in their profession. They have the lengthier limb, like legs and arms, and the trunk is little shorter.
Trunk
We have
short.
Bimal Kumar also. You have seen this
Yes.
Shrikant also, Prakash Padukone also. You name any badminton player in whole of the world, you will say Victor Axelsen. You see the weight of the trunk is little less and the limb length is little more.
Yes, sir. Actually, I was very fortunate that way because I got to do assessment for Shri Khan actually. That was 4 years back, I guess. Okay, so it was based on observation only. I was asking, yeah, what you said is correct. Having a shorter trunk is advantage because in term of like, the COG will be located a bit toward the highest side, right? So when you're going for the attack shot and all, it's definitely an advantage.
Yeah,
And
of course.
also with regard to the limb length also it's an advantage. But since what I observe is like in badminton actually, you have got lots of lunge movement also, right?
Yeah, that is
So
to lunge and
yeah,
leap both.
that is
Lunge, leap, and jump.
yes. So in that case, actually, when you're considering the lower extremity length, okay, especially the femur length, जो आपकी जो thigh length है, अगर
Yeah.
वो ज्यादा होता है तो it will be a disadvantage because आपका knee जो है ज्यादा bend होगा automatically, right? Knee पे ज्यादा stress पड़ेगा सर. और ये भी एक चीज है स्पेशली जैसे कि मेरे आई मीन जस्ट बेस्ड ऑन ऑब्जर्वेशन ऑनली आई एम डिस्कसिंग हियर, ठीक है, लोअर लेग लेंथ पे अगर दोनों का जो है टीबिया फीमर इक्वल होता है, ओके, तो वो काफी अच्छा हो सकता है आपकी एथलीट्स के लिए, बैडमिंटन के लिए. The femur length should not be more also, the tibia also should not be excessively more than the femur. It should be
So,
more or less equal.
yes, madam, we are talking about the top class athlete. They are
Yes, exactly. Based on observation only.
and they are trained also. They are trained in a manner
Yes.
where their capacity has increased.
Yes,
See,
sir.
if you ask to take the standing broad jump also, sometime you will see that they are almost 3 meter equal standing broad
Exactly.
jump. So that explosive power which has developed and the muscle
Mhm.
composition which they have developed and the total body weight has reduced by doing a lot of training. So that impact will not be much on the knee joint actually. And they are, see, it is a technique. For example, a combination of a small step and a lunge and then leap and then jump. So they are capable of accepting. Body adaptation जो है वो हो जाता है.
हो जाता है सर,
हाँ जी.
वो तो है, लेकिन जैसे कि in order to prevent stress fracture, in order to prevent further injuries, वो एक चीज होता है जो हमें कंसिडर करना होता है. और सर आपने बहुत सही बताया, जैसे कि अडेप्टेशन हो जाता है, दैट इज ट्रू. और एक और चीज भी दिस थिंग आई वांटेड टू डिस्कस, जैसे कि डबल्स प्लेयर पे यूजुअली ये होता है, स्पेशली इन फीमेल्स आई हैव सीन कि मोर लेस लाइक मोर डिपोजिशन ऑफ फैट टुवर्ड्स द हिप एरिया.
Yeah, that is.
And one more thing is like if I look at the badminton player, especially जो उसकी thigh circumference और calf circumference काफी अच्छा होता है सर,
ज़्यादा होता है.
ज्यादा होता है वो. And any comment on the hand length? Hand length, हाथ की जो लंबाई है उस पे कुछ सर आप can you share some of your views?
मैं इतना बता सकता हूँ कि हैंड लेंथ वेरी करती है, लेकिन उसके हिसाब से ही रैकेट बनाए जाते हैं. इफ यू सी द size of the racket, so that is G3, G4, G5, that indicate the size of the grip. So that hand which may be shorter and the lengthier also can choose the racket according to the size of the grip. So that doesn't affect a badminton player more.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome to you.
अभी देख लो.
And so just take it for
Neha, your voice is actually not audible. It's
Am I audible, ma'am?
yeah. You can do one thing. You can
Hello?
just like you can stop the video sharing. So I think that there will be a clarity actually in your audio.
Okay. Now fine, ma'am?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So any more queries or any more discussion that you want to put up, so we can have a discussion actually.
Chat box.
I wouldn't opt for the chat box, Neha, because it would be good if we have one-on-one interaction.
Ma'am, I have already unmute
Okay,
the features so they can ask question. I have already yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Okay,
Like you said, in peak height velocity, is there a chances of injuries are more?
see, especially during the initial stage.
Because
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
you can complete a question, Neha.
ma'am,
See,
in peak height velocity, is there yes.
okay, like sir was saying, okay, a coach has to be aware like what kind of training to be given, especially during the growing stage, especially when the athlete is undergoing the adolescence growth spurt. Okay, your growth plate are actually very sensitive during that stage. As I mentioned earlier, they're the weakest. They are more weaker than your tendons and your ligaments. Okay, so any damage to your growth plate actually, okay, can stunt the growth of the athlete also. Okay, it can cause permanent damage to the athlete also. So like your this thing Ashok sir was mentioning earlier, okay, we have to monitor not only the nutrient intake also, but also take into consideration the intensity, especially during the sensitive period.
Okay.
So any more queries?
There is no more question.
हेलो हेलो
Yeah, sir, you're
Hello.
on.
हाँ मैम मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था कि बैडमिंटन में एग्जैक्टली देयर इज नो बॉडी कंपोजिशन एग्जैक्ट बॉडी कंपोजिशन डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते कि एग्जैक्ट ये प्लेयर जो है इसकी हाइट अच्छी है या वेट अच्छा है या कहते हैं शॉर्टर है कहते हैं टॉलर है प्लेयर
देखो आपका बैडमिंटन में दोनों भी एक एडवांटेज होता है।
द-
लंबाई में आपका रीच का होता है, जो शॉर्टर प्लेयर इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्पीड एक्चुअली, राइट?
स्पीड एक्चुअली या
तो कॉम्पोजिशन इसलिए आपको कंसिडर करना चाहिए। कॉम्पोजिशन में क्या आता है, सबसे जो बड़ा पिक्चर होता है आपका बॉडी वेट आता है ना? ठीक है, तो सिर्फ आप बॉडी वेट को कंसिडर करोगे, ठीक है, जो चीज जो है आपको स्पीड एजिलिटी ये सब दे रहे हैं, तो उसको कंसिडर नहीं करोगे तो ऑब्वियसली फिर भी डिसएडवांटेज फॉर द बैडमिंटन प्लेयर। आपको ये देखना है कि उसकी हाइट के हिसाब से, ठीक है। हाँ, मैंने बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज का तो रेंज दिया, बट दैट्स अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन व्हिच यू आस्क्ड, लेकिन मैं ये भी कंसिडर करती हूँ उसकी जो हाइट के हिसाब से, उसके प्रोपोर्शन के हिसाब से उसका मसल मास कितना होना चाहिए, ठीक है। तो आई हैव टू कंसिडर दैट इंडिविजुअली। ओके, जैसे कि मैं बता रही थी प्रीवियस इन वन सम द प्रीवियस लेक्चर्स आल्सो, जैसे कि मेरे पास एक एथलीट आया, फीमेल एथलीट, okay, for example her height is 175 centimeter. Okay, you have to visualize that one. Okay, for example her height is like 175 centimeter. Okay, and if she has got a muscle mass of 28 kg, okay, I will consider it good, but it should not go below 25 kg. Okay, another thing,
करेक्ट
अगर एक athlete, okay, she the thing, if she has a height of 156 centimeter, okay, if she has 25 kg also I'll consider it good. लेकिन
Yeah.
अगर 25 से ज्यादा 30 पे आ रहा है तो वो तो it should be
वो
towards
उसके लिए
heavier side.
प्रॉब्लम.
Yeah, it will be a
हाँ.
problem for her. So I have to consider it individually actually.
मैम यही मेरा था क्यों कि ये सारी चीज हम लोग कंसिडर करते हैं व्हेन वी प्लान अ ट्रेनिंग. सो उसके अकॉर्डिंग जो है कि बच्चा जो है या लाइट मैं बच्चे से स्टार्ट करता हूँ बिकॉज आई एम हैंडलिंग जूनियर सेक्शंस. तो हम लोग का जो ट्रेनिंग प्लान होता है वो उसके अकॉर्डिंग ही होता है. तो मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि हम लोग जो है ना इसमें एग्जैक्टली डिफ्रेंशिएट नहीं कर सकते बहुत ज्यादा कि ये यदि आपकी हाइट ज्यादा है तो हम लोगों को लॉस है ही है क्योंकि हम लोगों की ट्रेनिंग प्लान इस तरीके हो सकता है जो शॉर्टर प्लेयर्स हैं हमें मालूम है दे आर गुड इन एजिलिटी एंड स्पीड. मैं एक एग्जांपल दे सकता हूँ फॉर इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर निजुमी ओकुहारा. शी इज अ
Yeah,
शॉर्टर प्लेयर. या
she's
बट शी
150
इज
if
गुड.
I remember.
या
Yeah,
बट शी इज वेरी गुड इन स्पीड एंड एजिलिटी.
yeah.
तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा एक सकता है कि बहुत बड़ी डिबेट हो जाएगी. जब मैं सेंटर में था तो मुझे इसके ऊपर एक टॉपिक मिला था. हम लोगों का लास्ट सेक्शन होता है जब एक टॉपिक होता है तो हम लोगों को तो मुझे यही एक टॉपिक मिला था कि आप एग्जैक्ट बॉडी कंपोजिशन बताइए बैडमिंटन प्लेयर के लिए. तो फिर मुझे वो टॉपिक चेंज ही करना पड़ा था क्योंकि एक एग्जैक्ट बॉडी कंपोजिशन है ही नहीं बैडमिंटन प्लेयर के लिए.
एग्जैक्ट किसी का भी नहीं होता एक प्लेयर का. इसलिए
हाँ.
बॉडी फैट परसेंटेज जो होता है मैंने रेंज दिया हुआ उस पे आपको
या
एथलीट जैसे कि ओनली ए कोच विल बी एबल टू ऑब्जर्व एंड देन टेल कि उसकी
दिस इज
ऑप्टिमम
एन
कहाँ है.
ऑब्जर्वर. हाँ.
ठीक है.
दिस इज ओनली फॉर ऑब्जर्वेशन.
Yes,
या.
not for this is actually a range given. Okay, individually you have to check again the athlete. जैसे कि
यस.
मैंने एक range दिया हुआ है for female athletes के लिए. ठीक है, जैसे कि वो 12 से लेके 18 होना चाहिए. तो individually एक कोच ही बता सकता है कि वो एथलीट कौन से परसेंटेज पे वो जो सबसे ऑप्टिमम
yeah.
अपना परफॉर्मेंस दे रहा है.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
I would like to share my
Yeah.
input in this regarding this. बहुत सारी कैपेबिलिटीज हैं. फिजिकल है, फिजियोलॉजिकल है, रिएक्शन
Yes.
बेस्ड थिंग्स हैं, टेक्निक है.
Yes.
बहुत सारी हार्मोनियस रिलेशनशिप होती है इसमें. कोई एक चीज अगर
Yes.
कम होती है तो दूसरा कंपनसेट हो जाता है.
हो
But this
जाता
was
है.
a time when this match duration was almost 100 minutes. So it has reduced to almost 60 to 65 minutes now. The training pattern has been changed. That is more of the strength base. Earlier was endurance base. That time the height consideration was not as important
Now it's complete.
Now,
as
Now
now.
it's very
As
important.
now it is very advisable. The person those who are having lengthier limb and having the height can play much better than the person those who are shorter in height. So they
Because
have the
of just
advantage of
strengthening.
frequency. They have the stability. They have the frequency, limbs frequency.
Yes.
So that advantage is there. But at the same time, when a PV Sindhu hit a smash, so that the steep angle can be made by the person those who are very good height.
Yeah.
that's true, sir. So any more queries? So if you have got any more queries or if you want to continue the discussion, what I will do is I'll just if it's possible in the chat, okay. I'll just give me this in my email ID so that we can have more of that will be better, I guess.
That will be much better because
Yes.
since you have done some work on the badminton player, would like to ask some of the questions in future also. It will be very nice if you share your ID.
Yes, sir.
That will be great. We will be grateful to you. Almost all the coaches will be grateful. If they need to ask some question, they will be able to ask.
So yeah, I also need your expertise in all this thing because you have been working in this field for quite a long time. It will be very good for me also to learn something from you all. So here is my email.
Bangalore में based है.
I'm in Bangalore, sir.
Yes, so many people like Kandekar, Mr. Vinod Narayan, and
Yes.
they are there to share a lot of. See, they are hardworking people and they are knowledgeable also. They will be able to share a lot of things regarding with the badminton also. Vinod Narayan is quite senior.
Yes. ये सब जैसे कि इंटरेक्शन पे भी होता है जैसे कि हम कांदेकर ये बायोमेकेनिक्स जो है प्रवीण नायर सर ठीक है हम लोग काफी इंटरेक्ट भी करते रहते हैं
So that is required. Our
Yeah, that
Director
is
General
required.
expect that India should be excellent in the area where this Olympic World Championship is there. So
Yes,
we should think that our country should like bring some laurel at that level.
it should be a long-term plan.
When we'll work together, it will be possible.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful and informative session. We, the Sports Authority of India, has just successfully completed the webinar, which I am sure would have contributed a lot to their coaching and competency. At the end of the session, I would like to give away the vote of thanks. I would like to thank our Senior Director, Captain Ajay Behel. I would like to thank Dr. Saju Joseph, High Performance Director. I also thank Mrs. Hima Bindu, Assistant Director Academics. I would like to thank Mr. Vinod Narayanan, Chief Coach Badminton. And last but not the least, I thank each of you for participating actively in this webinar. Thank you one and all. Thank you so much. Now we are closing to the meeting. Thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, Kandikar.
For your
Thank you for the
wonderful-
opportunity.
Nice. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good. Attendance is there? No?